Hello Genshin Impact players, this is Part-Time Warrior or Chris, and in this video I will be giving you a lot of beginner's tips if you're just starting your journey in Genshin Impact. This will be coming from me with a year of experience playing this game. I'm going to give you a lot of the tips I've learned along the way and stuff I wish I knew when I started. So please grab a snack, sit back, and I hope you enjoy the video. Tip number 1 is going to be about the daily commissions. Be sure to log on and do them every day if possible. The primos will add up. It'll be 60 primos per day if you complete all 4 and turn them in at the guild. You will start getting these at adventure rank 14. And it is definitely worth it, as later on, after all your quests are done, this will be your main source of primos unless you plan on spending money in this game. So on to tip number 2 is going to be about mining daily ore. Before you can start mining ore, you will have to reach reputation level 2 in each region, that being Mondstadt, Liyue, and Inazuma. The way you will do that will mainly be weekly bounties and requests, but to get to level 2 it honestly doesn't take that much. You do some of the main story quests as well as some open world quests like these. You should get there fairly quickly. Once you have done that, you'll want to go to the blacksmith in each region. You will see an option to ask about tips for finding ore in Mondstadt, Liyue, or Inazuma. You will click on that, and then you'll get this little bit of dialogue, and after it's over, the blacksmith will give you a few locations of guaranteed ore. Now, there is some spots that ore spawns every day. This area right here next to the Valley of Remembrance domain being one of them, as well as this one up here, and some others across Liyue. You'll be guaranteed at least 3 spots with ore in Mondstadt, 5 in Liyue, and 4 in Inazuma every day. If you want to get extra ore every day, you can go to a friend's world and mine their ore with them, and vice versa, they can come to your world and get ore with you. The reason you want to get as much ore as possible is because every day you want to make as many Mystic Enhancement ores as possible. You can do that with iron chunks, white iron chunks, star silver that's found in Dragonspine, but I don't recommend doing this because you don't get a lot of them, crystal chunks which are found in Liyue and Mondstadt, and finally these purple lumps that you can get in Inazuma. You can make up to 30 of these per day. If you make these smaller ones, you can make more, but it's still going to add up to the same amount of weapon XP that you can make every day. The max XP being 300,000 weapon XP, and you'll want to do that as much as possible because to get weapons to level 90, it's going to take a lot. As a matter of fact, to get a 5-star weapon to level 90, you're going to need about 900 of these. The next thing you're going to want to do is come to an adventurers guild in any region, and then you're going to want to dispatch characters on expeditions. Now, it's going to take about 20 hours to complete. If you have characters like Fischl and Ben in Mondstadt, Chungyun in Liyue, or Kujo Sara in Inazuma, they will complete it 25% faster. But if you don't have those, don't worry, it's only going to be 20 hours. If you do have them, it's 15 hours. As well as Kaching in Liyue, who will also have the same effect, but I don't have a Kaching. Now, before you send a character to any other area for an expedition, make sure to do this one here and here, because these two give crystal chunks and white iron ore. And same as Liyue, you have one right here that does it. After that, you can send them to get the plants, the Mora. You can even send them to get meat and eggs, which is also a good thing to have if you don't have eggs, because that's going to be your main source of revival if you die in the open world. Definitely do this, as this will help you make as much daily ore as you possibly can, as well as make craftable weapons that you unlock later in the game. Now, number 6, if you come up to this tab right here, this is going to be the event tab. The events will change quite often, and they normally last around a week to 2 weeks. Now, the events will vary from mini games to fighting to whatever it is at that time. Some of them is fun, some of them is not, but the main point is they give rewards, usually primos, talent books, and things like that. Sometimes you're even able to get crowns of insight, which is what you use to level your character up to level 10. And you only have so many of these in the game. As you see, I only have 4, and you need 1 per talent, so be wise where you use these as well. Now, another thing that you can do up to 5 times a day is refresh your resin. You can do that with fragile resins, which we'll get onto later. Or you can do it with primos. It starts out at 50, and then after you do it once, it'll go up to 100, and it just goes up from there. Now, I don't recommend this early game, maybe later on, but if you are going to do it, only do this once per day for 50, unless you're just going to be spending money, because these primos are very valuable. This is how you're going to make your wishes, and we'll go over the wishes and pity a little bit later on. And while we're on the topic of resin, you'll definitely want to use this every day. You get a cap of 160, and you get 1 resin per 8 minutes. You can use this resin on ley lines where you will get Mora, as well as XP books to level your characters. If you're a low AR5 or AR10, you're not going to get these purple books right here. And same with the Mora, you're not going to get 60,000 Mora. but you still want to do it. The other thing you want to use them in is talent book domains. As you see here, you'll be able to unlock the green books with the first level, then green and blue, and the last level you'll get green, blue, and purple. But of course, you won't unlock this until a later AR rank. The same is going to go for weapon ascension materials. It's going to work just like the talent books. And then your world bosses and weekly bosses will also all take resin. It'll take 40 resin per open world boss, 60 resin per weekly boss, 20 resin per claim of a ley line, and also 20 resin per weapon ascension material domain and talent book domain. Now, another thing you can start doing once you unlock a lot of the open world is daily artifact runs, where you run around the map and there's certain spots that spawn artifacts every 12 or 24 hours. One such spot being Salteray. Another spot is these 2 stars I have up in Dragonspine. There are guides here on YouTube that you can look up and it'll tell you exactly where to go for the best runs if you choose to do that. Now, it can get very tedious and boring, so I don't do them every day no more, but if you need artifact XP, you can do that. Or if you just want to sell them for more, you can also do that. Now, for the next tip, you're going to want to kill pretty much every enemy that you see in the open world. They drop necessary materials to level up your characters and your weapons, and you'll want to go ahead and pre-farm that now rather than later when you actually need them. The higher your AR, the more talent materials will drop from the enemies. Now, if there's a day where you have a lot of resin and you have no idea what to spend it on, always choose Mora, because Mora is needed for everything. You need Mora for artifacts, leveling characters, leveling weapons, buying stuff from the shops. So if you're ever lost on what to use your resin on, go ahead and put it on Mora. Alright, so now it's on to some stuff you want to start doing as soon as possible. You might not be able to do it at the very beginning of the game, but as soon as you're able to, you're going to want to start. One of those things are the weekly bounties and requests. I went over this a little bit when I was talking about getting the world level 2 for the ore. I don't know if you can do it right away, but in every new region, you're going to have to level up each one to level 8. And I think Inazuma's level 10. And you're going to get 3 of these that you can do a week, and then you're going to be capped out until the following weekly reset. So make sure you do those for each area and get to max reputation level for all the rewards, such as wings, blueprints, discounts at the shop. You get treasure compasses per region so you can find treasure more easily, and things like that. So you don't want to miss out on those. So now the next thing is going to be your fragile resin. As you're leveling up, you're going to get these from the AR rewards, and you're going to definitely want to save them for as long as possible for mid to late game use. Don't use them early, because later on the rewards will be a lot better than what you get early game, and you're not going to get a lot of these later on unless you buy the battle pass. But other than that, you're going to get very few of these, and when they're gone, they're gone. So the next tip's going to be about the Spiral Abyss. You're going to be in this general area over here. I don't remember exactly where. You're going to get a wind current going up, and then it's going to bring you to this island over here. And then this is where you unlock Spiral Abyss. So you have floors 1 through 8. And then once you beat floor 8, you unlock floors 9 through 12, which will go through a bi-weekly reset. But for this part of the video, I just want to cover floor 3. Once you beat floor 3, chamber 2, or maybe it's chamber 3, you will unlock Shangling. This is Shangling right here. You can get her for free just by completing floor 3 of the Spiral Abyss, and I highly recommend doing that as soon as possible, and then leveling her up with some artifacts. Crimson Witch is good on her, but also Noblesse or whatever else you want to put on her. So now on to the next tip is going to be about the leveling weapons. As you can see, I only have a few 5-star weapons, all level 90, 4-star weapons with a bunch to level 90. And then down here, you look at my 3-star weapons. I only have 1 level 90, 1 level 50, 1 level 20, and everything else is basically not leveled up. The thing about 3-star weapons is they are easily replaceable by 4-star weapons for the most part. Now, early game, it won't be a bad thing to level up some to like level 20 or level 40 because you're not going to have a lot of these. You won't be getting these until you get pulls on the standard banner, a couple from events, and then the weapon banner if you summon on it. So just be careful which 3-star weapons you level up. If you have to level one up, the debate club will be good for Claymore users. The Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers is the best 3-star weapon for support Catalyst simply because of this passive that increases your attack for so many seconds. If you get it to R5, you get a 48% increase in attack, which is nothing to sneeze at. A good 3-star sword would be Harbinger of Dawn because it has a crit damage main stats and a passive that increases crit rate by 28% with high health. If this had a higher base attack or they gave a 4-star or 5-star weapon with the same substat and main stat, this would be fucking broken. But other than those two, you really don't want to level anything up because hopefully soon you'll get some 4-star weapons, namely this prototype Rancor, which you will get at AR10, I believe. That's going to be good for a main DPS until you can get something better. Now at Adventure Rank 16, you're going to unlock co-op. and I highly recommend at least trying it out. You might like it, you might not. If you're struggling in the open world, you can have a friend join you and they can help you fight whatever you're struggling with, or you can join random people's worlds and have fun with them. The co-op system is kind of bland in a way because there's only so much you can do in it, but still, you're going to have some unique interactions, such as somebody joining your world just to play their lyre, giving a thank you and leaving. It's a treat sometimes. Now, next tip. Just explore. Don't even focus on the main quest all the time. Sometimes you just want to go to a random teleporter and then teleport and then just go north, south, east, or west. Find all the chests, find the hidden groups of enemies, find all these teleporters right here, and just have fun with it. Just see what there is to find. There's a lot of hidden areas that you can get, and you get a lot of primo gems and artifacts just from finding these chests. And exploration is one of the funnest parts of the game while you can still do it. Of course, there's going to be a point when you've explored pretty much everything, but enjoy the exploration while you can. So the next tip is going to be about healers. The first main one you're going to get will be Barbara, more than likely, unless you get lucky in the pity system. Another you could possibly get is Diona. Jean is a 5-star healer, and so is a Chi-Chi, which I do not have, even at AR-56. The thing about healers is late game, they fall off because you tend to rely more on shields. The best shield character in the game is Zhongli, which you're only going to be able to get if they rerun his banner. But you have a free-to-play option named Noelle, who can also heal, so that's a plus. And then some other characters like Beto, and even Diona can make shields. Healing won't be useless later on, but you're definitely going to want to invest in shielders after a point. But healers are also good. My Jean's amazing. Bennett, amazing. The next thing to talk about will be elemental reactions, which is going to be a main source of big PP damage. You'll learn this on your own as you play, but there's multiple types such as melt, vaporize, overload, things like that. Make sure you pay attention to them. The main two everybody likes to do is vaporize and melt because that gives the most damage, but of course the others are viable options. Now, another thing you're going to see is going to be a lot of streamers and videos where you're going to see a lot of big PP damage. Don't expect any of that early game. All them 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000, 1 million plus even. Don't expect to hit those numbers unless you have 5-star weapons, top tier 5-star artifacts, a lot of things like that. A lot of factors comes into play to get those big numbers. Later on, you'll be better equipped to do those big damage numbers, but early game, just don't worry about doing that. You'll be just fine. You should be well equipped to beat the game with low crit rate and crit damage for the time being. As your world level increases, of course, the enemies are going to get harder, but then you'll have better opportunities to get better equipment. All right, now on to weapon billets. It's going to be these right here. You have one for each weapon type. Now, there's two ways to get these. There's a limited number in the open world, and then the rest come from weekly boss drops. And it's a very rare chance of getting them, especially early on, but even later on still, it's very rare. This is how many I have after about a year of playing, and I've only made like 4 or 5, maybe 6 prototype weapons. And this comes from fighting weekly bosses every week. So you see how rare the drop is. So if you're going to make a prototype weapon, be sure it's something that's going to be useful and don't waste one. And if you choose to make a prototype weapon, you're going to do it here at the blacksmith. You take your billet as well as a couple other materials and you can make weapons like these, which there's a lot of great free-to-play options, such as this prototype archaic, prototype rancor, this Cretan crossbeard once you get to Inazuma, Mapamare for support EM catalyst users, crescent pike for a physical damage polearm user, and so on and so forth. Just before you make it, make sure you actually need it. Now that I brought up where to get the billets, that brings us to the weekly bosses. As you can see, even at level 1, you have a chance to get a billet. Of course, it's going to be a lot rarer, but you can still get them. There's 5 weekly bosses in total currently. You have Dvalin once you beat the Mondstadt Archon quest. You will have Child once you beat the Leeway Archon quest. There's also Boreas the Wolf after you do Razor's quest, I believe. Could be wrong. Ajdaha, which will be part of Zhongli's second story quest. Finally, you have Signora, which will be at the end of the Archon quest in Inazuma. Of course, you won't get to a lot of these until later on in your playthrough, but as soon as you unlock them, make sure you start fighting them every week. Next item on the list, you won't get this until later on in your playthrough in Leeway, is going to be the Serena Teapot. The Serena Teapot is going to be where you make your own little domain. You can invite your current companions here, such as the Raiden Shogun I have here. But most importantly, when you put furnishings in the teapot, you build up your trust rank. Now, having a higher trust rank will allow you to get more realm currency like this. And you're going to take that realm currency and you can buy items from the shop, such as furnishing blueprints like this. The main thing after you get it to trust rank 10 you're going to buy is this transient resin. This will be like 1 fragile resin and you can buy it every week. And then your leftover currency, you can get artifact experience, Mora, mystic enhancement ore, and even hero's wit. This is going to take a while to get to, but once you get to trust rank 10, that's the hardest part. And then just make sure you come by every few days, get your currency, and buy your stuff from the shop. For this next tip, I will name the most obtainable supports that you can get. Of course, it's going to be in a gacha system, so it's not a guarantee you will get them, but you have a higher chance of getting them than other characters, such as these limited 5-star characters, as you can see I don't have. But 4-star supports, Shang Ling's free, so you're going to be guaranteed her after you beat the Abyss Floor 3. Fischl's an amazing support, especially at higher constellations. Bennett is probably one of the best supports in the game. He goes with almost any team comp, and if you get him, you should definitely raise him. Xingqiu's great for pretty much any pyro DPS. He causes a lot of vaporize, does a lot of damage. Diona is a good healer, but she can also shield you, which makes her viable later on when healing becomes less important. Now, there's a lot of other good supports, but those are generally the easiest to get. If you manage to pull a Jean, then she can DPS and heal and support very well. Now, while we're talking about supports, let's talk about why you shouldn't neglect them. Of course, you want your main DPS to be your highest damage dealer, but a lot of damage will also come from your supports, such as my Xingqiu, my Rosaria, my Raiden Shogun, Bennett, my Fischl, Shang Ling. Now, you don't have to level them to say 80 of 90 or 90 of 90 like I did my main DPS Hu Tao, but you definitely want to get them 10 to 20 levels below your main DPS when you can, because a lot of them can do off-field damage and highly support your main DPS, whoever it may be. Now, the next one's going to be about talent books and boss materials. Don't farm anything that you know you're not going to use, such as the animal boss if you don't have an animal character you want to level up, or the resistance talent books if you don't have any character that takes them. That way, your resin can go to better places such as Mora and talent books and boss materials that you actually need. Now, your main DPS. Who should your main DPS be? Well, it can be basically anybody in the game. If you like Noelle, you like Chung Yun, you like Barbara, just kidding, don't main DPS Barbara, although you can, although I don't recommend it. Kaya, Shang Ling, Mona maybe, Fischl, Bennett, Razor. There's so many good main DPSs. Pretty much anybody can do it. Of course, there's characters that'll be better than others at main DPSing, such as Diluc, Tartaglia, Eula, Jean even, Hu Tao, Ganyu. They'll be better, but pretty much anybody in the game could be a main DPS. If you want to use Amber as a main DPS, you can use Amber. Just know she's like one of the most useless characters in the game and they refuse to buff her, but you do you. Now, when you're leveling your character's talents, make sure not to level every talent if they're not your main DPS. As you see, my Hu Tao's talents are 10, 10, 10 because she's my favorite character and I have her out in the field all the time. I utilize her auto attacks, her E, and her ult. As you see, my Xingqiu's normal attacks is level 2, his E is level 11, and his auto is level 13. This went past him because I have C3 and C5, which will do that. But if you're not going to auto attack with him, don't level auto attacks. If you're not going to use the E, don't level the E. And so on and so forth. Another good example is Bennett, who can be a main DPS, and if you main DPS with him, make sure to level this. But if he's just going to be a burst support, bother with the E a little bit, but mainly focus on your ult. By the way, his ult is one of, if not the best ults in the game, because it heals and gives you an attack buff. So definitely level this high if you get him. Now on to the banners that miHoYo will change out every few weeks. Now you don't have to pull on every banner. Always wait to see if the character is going to be good. Wait for reviews. If you don't like the look of the character, don't pull on the character. You don't need any of these characters to beat the game. Of course, they changed the gameplay. They add some enjoyment to it, such as my Hu Tao being my favorite character, and she has a rerun coming up. So if you look at some gameplay on her and you like her, be ready to pull on her. Or Ganyu even, who's probably getting a rerun soon, who is objectively the best DPS in the game. But eventually, all these characters will have a rerun and come back at some point. So you can still get them later on. So don't feel pressure to pull on the banner if you really don't want them right now. This game can definitely be beaten with only the free characters that the game gives you. Just look up Enviasi, who beats the Spiral Abyss every rotation with just the main 7 characters that was given for free. Now, when you're first starting the game out, you won't be able to bring your characters to 80 of 90 like mine. You're going to be capped at, say, 20 of 20, and then 40 of 40, 50 of 50, and so on as you increase your AR. Once you have a main DPS to say 40 of 40 and you're a few levels away from getting to where you can put them 40 of 50, go ahead and pre-farm the Ascension materials. That'll be the boss materials, the talent books, and the hero's wit that you'll need to level them up. That way, after your world level increases, you won't be lagging behind in damage. Now this here is going to be the wish system. You're going to use these Primal Gems right here to make pulls on these banners. You have your limited time character banner, limited time weapon banner, and then the standard banner, which is always there. Now, do not, I repeat, do not use primos on the standard banner. You will get standard wishes over time, and that's how you get your 5 stars and 4 stars from here. Otherwise, always use primos on these 2 banners. Now, early on in the game, Don't level too many characters at one time. So you're going to start out the game with 7 characters. You only need to level 4 to have a good team, until later on when Spiral Abyss requires 2 teams, but early on you just need 1 team to beat it. So focus on 1 main DPS and 3 supports that's good for that main DPS. As you get higher in AR, then diverse into a few more supports. Level up a 5-star character you might get from a limited time banner. Don't evenly spread all resources to all characters you get, because then you're going to severely be lacking in damage with all your characters. It's best to have 4, 5, 6 good characters and have 10, 15 below average characters. Because trust me, leveling characters costs a lot, and a lot of resin, which takes days to get. Now as you're doing pulls on these banners, there is a pity system built in. For the standard banner and the limited character event wish banner, at 90 you are guaranteed a 5-star. And on this banner specifically, when you get your 5-star, it's either going to be the character on the banner, which in this case would be Kokomi, or it's going to be one of these characters off the standard banner. Now it's a 50-50 shot of which one you're going to get, but if you got a standard character banner off your last 5-star, on this banner the next one is guaranteed to be the banner character, and that will transfer over to the next banner. So if you wished on this banner and got a Jean, well, next time you get a 5-star, if she's on the banner still, you'll get a Kokomi. If the next one is Tartaglia, you get a Tartaglia. And then it goes back to having to win a 50-50. So use that to your advantage. Now the weapon banner is different. Now it's going to work the same way as the character banner right here. If you lose 50-50 and get something off of the standard banner, the next one will be guaranteed to be a weapon off of the weapon banner. But it's going to be a 50-50 shot still between the two on the banner. But there is a fate system built in where if you don't get the weapon you choose, in my case the Primordial Jade Cutter, if you fail to get it twice, the next time is guaranteed to be that weapon. Of course, this is still a baity system. It's better than it used to be, because it used to be not guaranteed for either one of these after you pull so many 5-stars, but it's still a baity system, and I avoid staying away from this unless there's 2 weapons that you really want on it. And fate points do not carry over, so that will reset every time the weapon banner resets. Keep that in mind. And as far as standard banner goes, it's either going to be a 5-star character being Kaching, Mona, Chi-Chi, Jean, or Diluc, or a 5-star weapon from the Skyward series, and there's a few more in there as well. Now, if you get 2 5-star characters back to back in the standard banner, the next one will be a 5-star weapon, and vice versa. If you get 2 5-star weapons, the next one will be a 5-star character. Now, in-game content. When you first start this game, this is going to be full of world quests, story quests, Archon quests. Don't rush it. Please don't rush it, because once you're out, you're out. As you see, I have 1 story quest left, and that's the new one from Kokomi. There's a lot of other character story quests you're going to get, and a lot of open world quests. Take your time with them. Of course, you gotta do some, like the Archon quest, to advance in the game and get to new areas. But don't rush every single quest in the game. It'll give you plenty to do for many months ahead. Because once you get to endgame, it gets kind of boring, not gonna lie. Now, what should you level your characters up to? Of course, you're gonna be capped at 20 of 20 and 40 of 40 early on. But say when you get to AR 45, when you have the ability to 90 them, do you level them to 90? In most cases, no. 80 of 90 is perfectly fine. There's a few outliers like Zhang Li, who gets more HP and his shield scales off his HP. So he's a good one to level all the way to 90. Hu Tao's a good one to level all the way to 90 because her attack bases off her max HP as well. But in most cases, 80 of 90 is just fine. Even on Hu Tao, 80 of 90 would be okay. But if you want to go the extra mile and do 90 of 90, it's going to take a lot of resources to do it. To get a character from 1 to 70 takes almost the same amount of books as getting a character from 80 to 90. So let that help you decide if you want to 90 them or not. But on the other hand, you have weapons. And I highly recommend always 90ing these as soon as you have the opportunity. Of course, it's going to depend on your Mystic Enhancement ore, which is why early on in the game, you're going to make as much as you can every single day. Then at some point, you can have a lot of level 90 weapons like myself. So now, in my opinion, you should start farming artifacts around AR 45. Because before AR 40, you're not guaranteed a 5-star at all. And 40 to 45, you're only guaranteed a chance at a 5-star. It doesn't mean you're going to get one. But after 45, you'll get at least 1 5-star for every run you do. That's why it's best to wait until you get to AR 45. But if you want to do some farming at AR 40, you can, but don't waste none of your fragiles on it, because a lot of your in-game content will be farming these artifacts. And those fragile resins you saved up along the way to get to the point of mid to late game, they will become very helpful in this situation. You're probably still going to get a lot of garbage artifacts out of it, but you will eventually get something that is good. Then comes the problem of rolling it, which, So now you're at the point where you want to farm artifacts, and you need to know which ones you should level up. Well, if you have a 4-star artifact, the highest you can get to is plus 16. 5-star artifacts can go to plus 20. And 3 stars are lower, and so on and so on. I only recommend leveling an artifact if it has 2 good substats. If you see an artifact with 3 substats like this, roll to plus 4, see what it gets. If this was to roll crit damage, this would be a fucking amazing plume. If it was to roll defense, though, it just becomes an okay plume. So now I'm going to list the things that you want on your artifact rolls from best to worst. Crit rate or crit damage is always going to be the best, except for a couple of circumstances, but 90% of the time, crit rate, crit damage is best. Follow that with attack percentage, energy recharge, and elemental mastery, and then HP and defense. Defense being the worst. If it has a flat defense and defense percentage on it, I highly recommend not rolling it unless it's a goblet and you have no choice because you need a pyro goblet or an electro goblet, or whatever kind of goblet you have. Now, each set's going to have a different 2-piece and 4-piece bonus, depending on how you want to use your character. That's how you're going to choose which ones to get. Always try to leave your goblet as the open stat, because it's very, very hard to get, say, a pyro damage goblet on a pyro damage artifact set. So try to have these 4 be in your 4 pieces, that's your on pieces, and then save this for the off piece. Unless, of course, you get very lucky and get the element you want and good substats on it. Now, when farming artifact domains, you have quite a few options. Half of them is going to be a really good set, such as the Viridescent Veneer on an animal character, and then a Garbage Maiden Beloved set is the other one you can get, which you almost never want to use on any characters, even healers, because they heal just fine without it. So when farming artifacts, unless you absolutely need this piece for a character, try to farm domains that have 2 good artifact sets in them. One of those being the Pika Vendanier, which has the Blizzard Strayer set, which is great for cryo characters, as well as this set for hydro characters. Another one being Ridge Watch, which is good for physical damage characters and support characters like Zhongli or even Fischl and people like that. Clear Pool and Mountain Cavern can be good. This is another physical damage artifact set. Pale Flame is better than this one, but this one also has the Noblesse Oblige set in it. It's going to be great on so many support characters. On your Bennett, on your Diona, on your Chi-Chi if you have one. On all them characters, you can put a Noblesse set on and get this 4-piece bonus where using an elemental burst will increase all party members' attack by 20% for 12 seconds, which makes it an extremely good set. And then the new one in Inazuma, the Miyoji Dyed Courtyard, it's also good because Emblem of Severed Fate is good on pretty much all Electro characters and some other supports like Mona. And Shiminawa's Resistance is good on Yoimiya, although her banner is gone, but you can put it on other characters as well. See what characters you're going to build and see if the 2-piece or the 4-piece artifact set bonuses is good for what you need your character to do. Alright, on to character constellations. So some characters are perfectly fine at C0. They do what you need them to do, and no other constellations are necessary. While others need certain constellations to have a big damage boost. One character that's fine at C0 would be Bennett. Xingqiu's great at C0. Fischl's good at C0, but of course higher constellations will do more damage. That goes the same for any character in the list. Diona's just fine at C0. Ningguang C1 turns your normal attacks into AoE damage, which overall gives you more damage, of course. Bennett C1 is pretty much all you need on him, although definitely never C6 him. It's good for pyro damage characters, but every other team comp, such as physical, cryo, or anything like that, is going to be overridden with pyro damage, ruin your DPS, and then you can no longer use them on those teams. And constellations are non-toggleable, so once you activate it, it's staying on there and you cannot take it back off. Now let's talk about a character that's probably the best overall character in the entire game. My man, Big Dong Zhongli right here. Holding the skill is going to give you a shield, which if you build them properly, is going to be almost unbreakable. And if you're near enemies while having the shield active, it decreases all their resistances by 20%. He can summon a big ass meteor with his ult. Of course, he's only going to be available if they rerun him, but if you see a Zhongli rerun, do whatever you can to pull this character. Anybody can be a main DPS, but there's only one Zhongli. Now the final thing to talk about, should you spend money on this game? No. Nobody should spend money on this game, although a lot of people's going to do it anyway, myself included. But only spend money if you're okay with doing that, knowing you're probably not going to get what you want unless you spend at least $100. And only do it if you have disposable income. Now, if you want to just spend a little bit of money on the game, but don't want to spend a whole lot for like primos and stuff, this battle pass right here, which resets every 30 to 40 days, I believe, is an amazing option to get. You get all these rewards at the top for free. But if you pay $10 for the premium, you get a whole lot more down here. Mystic Enhancement Ore, Hero's Wit, Wishes, you get talent books, and it's definitely worth the $10 if you're going to be playing this game long term. And the best part of the Battle Pass is once you get to level 30, you can pick a free Battle Pass 4-star weapon, which all of them are generally good. You'll be able to pick from the Bow, the Viridescent Hunt, the Black Sword, the Serpent Spine, the Deathmatch, and the Solar Pearl. All give a crit rate main stat, and they generally have high base attacks. As stated in the artifacts section, crit rate, crit damage is the most important stats, and if your weapon already has that built in. Final thing that I'd say would be a good thing to buy would be this Blessing of the Welcome Moon. It's only $5 for 30 days. And over the course of 30 days, you will get 2,700 primos, 90 per day, plus 300 Genesis crystals, which can be converted to primos, so you would be able to get a total of 3,000 primos for $5. That would equal a total of 18 pools and some primos left over. If you don't mind spending $5, then I highly suggest buying this, as it will help you get a lot more 4 and 5-star characters, because you passively get this every single day you play. So you'll go from getting 60 per day for doing daily commissions to getting 150 primos a day, which is basically one wish or 10 primos shy from getting 1 pool a day if you do this. That's going to be it for the beginner tips guide for Genshin Impact from my 1 year of experience in the game. I hope these tips will help you out in your future adventures in Teyvat. If any veteran players are watching, if I missed anything, please put it in the comments down below. Leave a like if it was helpful to you. If you want more guides or Genshin content in general, please leave a subscribe. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one.